Hello and welcome to day 10 of our 14-day roller coaster road trip across America's amusement parks. Back in the summer of 2024, we snagged a fly drive package bargain with Virgin Holidays to Boston from the UK with an included car rental by Hertz, and then spent hours driving to the best roller coasters and amusement parks that probably have much more convenient airports, but we're trying to do this one on the cheap, alright? In this episode, we'll visit Kennywood, one of the most charming amusement parks in the world. This park isn't Kenny Rogers' version of Dollywood, sorry about that. But it is a delightful, charming historic trolley park that goes back over hundreds of years, that oozes nostalgic and historic vibes, yet feels completely modern, clean and nicely presented at the same time. There'll be classic rides, incredible coasters, and possibly the most expensive fries I've ever eaten. You know what they say, if the ark's rocking, don't come knocking. All this and more coming up on day 10 of the USA roller coaster road trip. Hey, this is Stu for Out and Back Travel. I make videos like this one in the hopes it can inspire your own theme park adventures. If you do find the video helpful, please drop me a like, as that really helps me out on YouTube. Thank you so much. You join us then on day 10 of our 14-day summer 2024 USA road trip. We flew into Boston as it's one of the cheapest transatlantic routes. It's a nice short flight too, at around 7 hours. And usually you can pair this with a good value car rental too. So after we landed in Boston, we had an afternoon at Six Flags New England to set us up for the travels ahead. We tamed that fresh pussy on the Bobcat at Six Flags Great Escape, survived the one-train operations of Six Flags Darien Lake, learned why the roller coaster crossed the road at Waldermere, had 2 days making new friends at Cedar Point, took a big diversion to Mount Olympus as we had $5 tickets, lol, endured Six Flags Not All That Great America, dropped into the wild card of Indiana Beach, and we've just had some quality time at Kings Island where we stayed the night. My family are very lucky and grateful to have been doing road trips to the USA since 2002, so this route does contain long distances, made possible by our experience, but also the advantage of having 4 named drivers included in the car rental package, meaning we could easily swap if someone got tired and cover the larger distances by sharing out the driving. Today's leg of the road trip will see us ultimately arrive in Hershey in Pennsylvania, so quite a big lunge back from Ohio to Pennsylvania, with the idea that we're close to Hershey Park for tomorrow. Starting at Kings Island, we'll make the 4-hour 30-minute drive to just outside Pittsburg, a distance of 275 miles to reach Kennywood. After we finished at Kennywood, we'll drive 203 miles, approximately 3.5 hours to Hershey, where we'll stay the night. Kennywood was open from 11 AM till 8 PM, so that later start meant we didn't have to get up so early for the drive this morning, which was always appreciated. This is one of the few occasions on the road trip where the park wasn't covered by some kind of season pass, but we had a lovely discount code as we are members of the European Coaster Club, and that means we get a 50% discount on tickets to Kennywood. Usually this should be done by applying a discount code into the website, a system we've done successfully for other Park Rembrandt parks such as Movie Park in Germany. Thank you very much ECC, thank you very much Park Rembrandt. But unfortunately in 2024 the Kennywood website was only taking American credit or debit cards. So I contacted the park's guest services ahead of our visit, who gave me a reference code to use at the park gate, meaning we could have the offer in person. Much appreciated. So we paid around $35 per person, which is an absolute bargain for Kennywood. We visited on a Sunday, so let's have a look at the coaster bingo then. As of 2024, there were 7 operating roller coasters at Kennywood as Steel Curtain was closed for the season. I'm so bitter, I'm not even going to put it on the coaster bingo card. You're dead to me, Steel Curtain, don't talk to me. So first up then we have Exterminator, an enclosed spinning mouse in a shed with some fun theming. Coaster number 2 is Jack Rabbit, which opened in 1920, a classic wooden coaster with the famous double down drop. Little Phantom is the park's kiddie coaster. If you have no shame, you can ride it and get the cred. Phantom's Revenge is the 2001 Morgan conversion of the park's old Arrow looping coaster into a classic hypercoaster full of lovely airtime. Racer is a Mobius racing wooden coaster from 1927. This is only one cred, as technically it's only one big track that's joined together, so you can't count this one as two. If you do one side, you've only got half the cred. That's the coaster maths, guys. I don't make the rules. Skyrocket is a looping launch coaster from Premier Rides with a few inversions. And then we've got Thunderbolt, the 1968 redo of the 1924 Pippin coaster to give it some fun lateral turns. So classic wooden coasters and modern marvels in the collection here. Due to previous visits, I have most of the creds already. I only need the Skyrocket and Little Phantom for my own cred count. This is the partner I have access to's first visit to Kennywood, so ideally we do need to get all the rides in. So let's see how we get on them. We arrived at Kennywood in time for opening, and at the rope drop we headed towards Exterminator. This is your standard spinning mouse roller coaster, so the cars take up to 4 people at a time. In fact, you can only put 2 adults in the cars, so it does get a very long queue, so one to kind of think about heading too early. The fun twist of this one being enclosed in a box with some fun theming makes it a little bit extra disorientating as you spin your way through the largely familiar course. I always love it when parks plus up what could have been a very standard off the shelf ride, so top marks for creativity to Kennywood on Exterminator. It's a fun ride. We couldn't pass up the classic whip ride. The original version of this ride opened at the park in 1919, making it 105 years old. Can you imagine if submission had lasted 105 years? The cars travel around a big oblong shaped track. Obviously you get completely wanged around each end, which is always a joyful riot. I do love myself a whip, and it was good to see one at Kennywood still going strong. Next up, 2 for 7 on Coaster Bingo, and we're doing Phantom's Revenge. Purely as we're by the entrance, and to save any zigzagging around the park, we're just going to go to the rides as we come to them. This is a former Big Arrow loopy coaster which was converted by Morgan into a hypercoaster back in 2001, long before RMC were doing their conversions, kids. The loop-de-doops were removed in favour of crazy airtime humps, and the overhead shoulder restraints were replaced by what I can't describe as a lap bar, as that just doesn't do it justice. It's genuinely like a pool noodle, which, when the coaster chooses violence, means the airtime mutes are just extra silly. I do love this long straight bit at the bottom of the first drop too. Watch everyone go by, they all have their arms in the air on this clip. Here they go. Whee! Everyone's having fun. Love that. The largest drop on this coaster is the second drop, where it, to use a technical term, just fucks off down the side of the cliff top the park is perched upon, dropping 228 feet through the Thunderbolt coaster towards the river below. Just to remind you, you're restrained by a pool noodle for this, so it's going to be crazy. Phantom's Revenge is a little on the short side. It's a short but sweet ride, but with legendary airtime and dramatic use of terrain, a theme we'll see again and again on the coasters today. Fantastic. Almost as legendary as the coasters at Kennywood are their fries, so you have to visit the potato patch. Just make sure you can skip a mortgage payment or something, because the price was $9.29 for fries, plus tax, remember. Ouch, right in the wallet, but completely worth it for these proper fresh cut potato legends. I haven't met a potato I didn't love, and the potato patch is no exception. Thunderbolt is credit 3 for 7 on the Coaster Bingo card. This coaster insists you have a riding partner, so no single riders here, sorry. We did see the ops trying to pair some groups up, so I guess maybe due to the crazy laterals you have to be sat next to someone so you don't come out the car. Thunderbolt uses the terrain to perfection, meaning that the lift hill is in the middle of this ride and you start by dropping over the edge of a ravine. Awesome! This is the magic of Kennywood and I'm so here for it. In addition to the classic ups and downs, Thunderbolt's crazy double helix delivers some amazing lateral forces. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Next up, we did the park's trackless ghost ride. They clearly opened the Haunted Animatronic catalogue and went, yes! So lots of fun animatronics and the kitchen sink literally coming towards you as you shoot things, which has made it an interesting ride. It's a fun one, this one. Another hit on the classic attractions Safari today is Noah's Ark. Hey Blackpool, how you doing? This classic walkthrough attraction is a lot of fun and great to see one still operating. Isn't that right, Blackpool? Sorry, not sorry, Mandy. A unique Kennywood classic is the Auto Race. These electrically powered cars poodle along a little wooden trough alongside some nicely manicured hedges. It might surprise you to know I do appreciate a ride by some neatly trimmed bush. There's just something so nostalgically endearing about this one-off ride. It's a must-do when you go to Kennywood. It's so unique. Passing by this big yellow ornament of disappointment. Not that I'm bitter. Racer was up next for 4 out of 7 on Coaster Bingo. This 1927 double-sided racing coaster is one long track, so you come back to the station on the opposite side to where you started. Coaster magic. Growing up in the UK, I'm therefore acclimatised to the spinal readjustment of Grand National, so by comparison, Racer is a much more genteel experience, but a fun one. Not really wild exciting, just fun. Jack Rabbit is 5 out of 7 on Coaster Bingo. Opening up in 1920, this coaster was 104 years young for our 2024 visit, and wow, she really holds up. This one has a fixed in place lap bar which you scooch underneath to get into the car. You do have a seatbelt of course thanks to modern safety fun police, but the chances are your legs are a fair distance south of that lap bar up north, so you're in for some silly airtime yeeting and it's just glorious. Using the Kennywood terrain magic, the lift comes midway through the course, which also makes for a fantastic ride. Jack Rabbit is of course famous for its double down drop, and it truly is a world-class roller coaster experience, and the reason this ride is still going strong after so many years. Continuing the classic ride Purge, Old Mill was up next. I guess you have to do this one as it's a really historic boat ride, but it's a very long ride and offers a very welcome nap during a busy Kennywood day. After this we did another loop of the park for some re-rides. It's just absolutely stunning, such a special place. I wouldn't mind getting my lips around a fire-breathing sausage, but I do prefer the Blizzard Blast Creamery at the rear, which did some amazing ice cream. So credit 6 out of 7 on Coaster Bingo is Skyrocket, the Premier Rides launch coaster, and my first +1 of the day. We're not riding the kiddie cred, so our final Coaster Bingo score is a respectable 6 out of 7. I wasn't really expecting much from Skyrocket, but it was actually a lot of fun. The launch up into the vertical up and over top hat thing had some airtime, and the rest of the ride was actually quite smooth. Not too sure about this wiggly bit, but alright. It tried at least, I guess. All in all though, we had a fantastic day at Kennywood and I can't wait to go back. It's such a special place. If you're from the UK and love Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you're going to really fall in love with Kennywood. There's so many similarities between the experiences. It's just kind of Blackpool with trees and grass, which, you know, makes it nicer. We left the park to begin the 203-mile drive, approximately 3.5 hours towards Hershey. We'd be staying 2 nights in Harrisburg, just outside the town of Hershey, which is always nice to have more than one night in the same hotel when you're on the move in a trip like this. We'd booked the Country Inn and Suites Harrisburg West for £113 per room for 2 nights, so £57 a night, which is really great value. Country Inns are usually a slightly nicer chain of hotel, which usually have an indoor pool and a good breakfast, making them a nice treat along the way, especially if you can do a couple of nights in the same one. If you're visiting Hershey Park, it might be worth planning to arrive the night before, as the park offers what they call the preview plan. For any valid ticket, you can visit for free the day before your visit for the last 2 hours of the day, or 3 hours if you stay in an official on-site hotel. Unfortunately this time this wouldn't work for us, as we had the long drive from Pittsburg and Hershey closed at 7 PM, which is quite early for Hershey. I was a bit disappointed in that. In the past, we usually pair our trips to Knoebels with an evening at Hershey Park, and it's always a good idea because Hershey's such a large park with lots to do, so bonus night rides for free is always appreciated. Just remember, you will have to pay for parking, as that won't be included. So coming up next time, we're visiting the sweetest place on earth, Hershey Park. We're out of character, I'm chomping at the bit for pussy. Seeing if the Sky Crush has been fixed by the new restraints. And can Candymodium deframe Mako as my favourite B&M hyper? In the future, I'll be putting together a summer episode with tips for planning your own roller coaster USA road trip. So if you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching if you have been, and until next time, remember, stay safe on the way out and back.